Welcome back again. Practice exam number 14. 14! 5 more questions to go through. Help you pass that Security Plus exam. That's what we're all about today. Let's jump right into it. This one came from a special request from one of my YouTube followers. I believe it was Nancy. Nancy, this one's for you. We're going to give you a couple questions on cloud environment. That's what you requested. Here we go. Number 14. An organization is transitioning its entire data center to the cloud. To reduce the hardware management costs and increase scalability, the IT team will be responsible for configuring and securing the operating systems, managing virtualized environments, and controlling network traffic between the virtual machines. They also need to ensure compliance with strict data security regulations. Which of the following cloud service models is the organization likely using? This is typical of CompTIA. CompTIA loves to give you just a slew of information to try and get you off your game. That's one of their goals. So be aware of that. Be aware of that, right? Excuse me. A little bit stuck in my throat today. As you're going through these questions, as you're looking at the answers, remember, read the question in its entirety. Then read the answers, then reread the question. Right? Make sure that you're only answering what you need to answer. Okay? All right, if you need more time, let's go ahead and pause that video. Let's jump into this one. An organization is transitioning its entire data center to the cloud to reduce hardware management costs and increase scalability. The IT team will be responsible for configuring and securing the operating systems, managing virtualized environment, and controlling network traffic between virtual machines. They also need to ensure compliance with strict data security regulations. Which of the following cloud service models is the organization most likely using? Well, platform as a service, PaaS, that's A, would not be correct. In a PaaS system, PaaS system, this would be on developing and deployment of applications, right? That's it. It's the highest level associated with a cloud environment. And so when we look at the question, and it's saying that you'd be responsible for managing the environment, controlling network traffic, that's not PaaS, so that can't be it. Then we have SaaS, software as a service. This is the second highest one. And in this one, the organization would be fully manage the software, but they would not control the infrastructure. They wouldn't control the virtual machines. And if we look at the question here, the IT team will be responsible for configuring and securing operating systems and managing virtualized environments. So it can't be SaaS. That leaves IaaS and DaaS. So if you know what DaaS, then you know that it's a desktop as a service. Provides virtual desktops. However, it doesn't include infrastructure or virtual machines. The only one here that does all three, responsible for configuring and securing operating systems, managing the virtualized environment, and controlling network traffic between the virtual machines. And don't forget the compliance with strict data security regulations. That would be infrastructure as a service. That would be IaaS. That's going to be our answer. Infrastructure as a service. There it is right there. All right, question number 2. A software company is working on a critical application that requires a highly customizable environment that includes automatic scaling, version control integration, and continuous deployment. They want to manage the code and application configurations, but prefer not to handle the underlying infrastructure, including virtual machines and network layer. However, they need the ability to integrate custom libraries and middleware. Which of the following cloud service models would best meet their requirements for this one? What do you think about this one? Make sure you're reading this. Another cloud question for you, Nancy. All right. We're not going to spend a lot of time waiting on me on this time. Let's go ahead and pause the video if you need it. Pause the video if you need it. We're going to answer this one. A software development company is working on a critical application that requires a highly customizable environment that includes automatic scaling, version control, and continuous deployment. They want to manage the code and application configurations, but not handle the underlying infrastructure, including virtualization and network layer. However, they need the ability to integrate custom libraries and middleware. Which of the following cloud service models would meet this requirement? I think we can get rid of infrastructure as a service right out the gate. I think we know that based on the fact that they don't want to handle the underlying infrastructure. That's a dead giveaway right there. I think we can get rid of of function as a service, right? This is a serverless computing model where developers deploy discrete functions without managing the infrastructure, but it does not offer continuous environment needed for application customization. It doesn't handle version control, and it doesn't do middleware integration. That leaves PaaS, platform as a service, or software as a service. Now, I'm going to bet that a lot of you picked software as a service. I'm going to bet that a lot of you did that. However, software as a service does not allow the company to develop custom applications. No custom applications with software as a service or configurations. That would be platform as a service. Platform as a service is most suitable for this application when we look at everything that it wants. It wants application configuration. It wants access to custom libraries and middleware. That is going to be platform as a service, not software as a service. That's going to be B. B is going to be our right answer. There we go. Right there. All right, question number 3. I thought I'd mix it up. Today and give you a matching question, but my big fat head is in the way, so let me get rid of that real quick. Let's get rid of my big fat head in there. There we go. Now I'm out of the picture. All right, match the following cloud-related term to their correct definition. That's what we're going for. What do you think? I feel like we've got 6 possible ones there. I added some more. Some ones that are specifically called out in Security Plus, in the matrix that they provide you, in those domains, inside those QAs. I should say, not QAs, KSAs, knowledge units, right? All right, so I want you to think about this. We're probably going to go faster than what you need to. So I'm going to say, get your hand ready on that pause button. Go ahead and do it now. Go ahead and pause that video and figure this one out. I want you to write it out. I want you to be like 1A, 2B, 3C, whatever it is, right? When you go through this, write it down, get a piece of paper, put it on Microsoft Word, or memorize it. It's one of your call, right? I don't recommend you memorize it. Put it on paper. Put it on paper so that you know what you answered. And that's the best way. That way you can't cheat yourself or lie to yourself. We do it. We do it as people. We lie to ourselves. It's okay. All right, let's answer this one. Match the following cloud-related term to the correct definition on the example. Let's do this. I feel like IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Well, that's got to be B. A cloud service model where the provider offers virtualized hardware resources and the customer is responsible for managing the operating system as well as the applications. That would be B. What about 2? What about platform as a service? Well, 2 is going to be D. A cloud service model that provides a platform with development tools, operating systems, runtime environments, allowing customers to develop and deploy applications without managing the infrastructure. That's going to be platform as a service. What about software as a service? Well, software as a service is going to be a cloud service model. That's going to be A, where users access fully managed software applications provided by the cloud vendor, typically through a web browser. That's going to be A. What about number 4? What about CASB? Well, CASB is a service that provides a security intermediary between cloud users and cloud service providers to enforce security policies. 4 is going to be C. What about 5? CSP, cloud service provider. Well, a cloud service provider is going to be the entity responsible for providing cloud service such as IaaS, PaaS, and of course SaaS, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. I don't remember if I said what CASB was. It's a Cloud Access Security Broker. And of course that leaves 6, which is VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Well, that's got to be E, a private, isolated section of a public cloud that allows users to configure their own network and subnets as though it were an on-premise data center. That's going to be our question number 3. All right, question number 4. Let me turn my picture back on. I like seeing my smiley face on there. I know you do too. Right? Even though it's kind of blocking the way. I can move, though. I can move it. Boom, look at that. Look at that rotation. All right, number 4. An organization is preparing to engage with a new third-party vendor to provide critical cloud-based services. As part of a risk management process, the organization must evaluate the risks associated with the vendor's operations, security practices, and potential liabilities. One key component of this evaluation is the MSA. Which of the following should the organization ensure is clearly defined within the MSA to mitigate third-party risks? What do you think? My apologies for those dogs barking in the background. We took care of that. But when you're going through this, it says select all that apply. This is the difficult one, right? I hate select all that apply because you don't know if it's 1, you don't know if it's 2, you don't know if it's 3, you don't know if it's 5. And we have 6 possible answers. Usually they have at least 1 wrong. And so you kind of have to go through on each one to determine whether or not it applies or not. And that's really the problem with these select all that apply questions. The good news is I don't expect to see a bunch of these on your Sec Plus. They're very rarely do these pop in there, but we want to practice harder than what we actually take the test. That way, when we go on the test, we're confident, we're ready to go, we know what's going on, we're ready to tackle. We're ready to tackle that thing. All right, let's do this. If you need more time, of course, pause the video. All right, mark which ones that you think are correct, which ones are true. Don't bother with the ones that are false, all right? All right, an organization is preparing to engage with a new third-party vendor to provide critical cloud-based services. As part of the risk management process, the organization must evaluate the risks associated with the vendor's operations, security practices, and potential liabilities. One key component of this evaluation is the MSA. Which of the following should the organization ensure is clearly defined within the MSA to mitigate third-party risk? Well, we must know what an MSA is in order to actually identify it. Master Service Agreement. MSA, Master Service Agreement. All right, so let's start with a detailed service level agreement, SLA, which with performance metrics, penalties for non-compliance. Absolutely. MSA would definitely include SLAs. 100%. So we can knock A as being a possible answer, as one of our good answers, I should say, because it's saying select all that apply. So this is a little bit better because you don't have to do the best. You just have to knock out which ones are true. B, a requirement for the vendor to provide 24/7 technical support at no additional cost. No, this usually isn't part of an MSA. Matter of fact, if you want 24/7 technical support, it usually does incur an additional cost. That's part of that MSA. Can you write it in there? Yeah, you could write it in there, but that's not a requirement. That's not something we would normally see in an MSA. C, a security requirements and protocols, including data protection and incident response procedures. Yeah, I could see that being in an MSA. 100%, I could see that being in an MSA, right? Ensuring that our security protocols and our data protection and incident response procedures are defined within that MSA. That's going to help our company reduce risk. It's going to help us mitigate those risks. It's going to make sure that that company is meeting minimum requirements that we impose on them through that MSA, right? And so we want that. We definitely want that. So C would be a correct answer. Moving on to D, the exclusive right for the vendor to unilaterally modify the terms of services based on operational needs. No, that would never happen. Never going to happen. It's an agreement. An agreement. I bet somebody tried to put one of those in there. I bet somebody did, because it is kind of a contract, right? But it's never going to fly. If you even have a half decent lawyer, they're going to be like, I don't think so. I don't think so. A clause that holds the organization responsible for any data breaches occurring on the vendor's platform. What? No. If I put that, right, a clause that holds the organization responsible for any data breaches occurring on the vendor's platform. So basically, what it's saying is that if the vendor has, let's say, a clause that holds the organization responsible for any data breaches occurring on the vendor. Yeah, so if the vendor has a data breach, then it's my fault? That's not my problem. I didn't do that, right? You're responsible for your own stuff. I don't think you're ever going to get anybody to agree to that one. That's never going to happen, right? F, provisions for regular audits and assessments to ensure compliance with security standards and regulations. Oh yeah, we would require that. Usually a third-party audit, right? We would require an individual audit and then maybe a third-party audit for somebody to come in. We don't want to audit them. That's bias, right? We want a third party to do it. And so that makes it good for everybody. So there you go. It's going to be A, C, and F are going to be our correct answers on this one. A, C, and F. There we go. There they are. Right there. All right, question number 5. A cybersecurity analyst is investigating a suspicious email reported by a user. The analyst reviews the email header and notices the following. Based on the email header information, which signs indicate this email is a phishing attempt? Select all that apply. Another select all that apply. And so you kind of have to read through this, right? Don't worry. We're going to read through this a little bit. I'm going to give you some hints on how to read through this thing as we go through. But select all apply. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 4, it could be 7. Well, there's only 5 possible answers, but you get my point, right? What do you think? Carefully read through this. read through this, and I bet you can find it. I bet you can find the answers. I bet you can. All right, let's jump into this. Let's do it. If you need more time, of course, pause it. All right, a cybersecurity analyst is investigating a suspicious email reported by a user. The analyst reviews the email header and notices the following. Based on the email header information, which signs indicate this email is a phishing attempt? Select all that apply. I like to kind of browse through the log real quick. That's my goal. I just want to browse it. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. That's not my goal. Remember, we're under a time crunch, right? And so they gave us answers. They gave us possible answers. And since they gave us possible answers, we're going to go through and read them and then relate them to whether or not that is something we should be concerned about. So, for instance, let's start with A. The from field shows the legitimate company email address. All right, so we'd find the from field, which is right here, and we see support@company.com. And now we can correlate that with everything else. We can see user@company.com, support@company, support. Okay, so we are starting to see some issues here, which we'll point out in a minute. And then we see mail@company.com. And so based on that, I would say, yeah, this is fine, because we can see right here by mail@company.com. Okay, and so from support@company.com, this is legitimate. So not a phishing email so far, not an identifier. The receive field from the email originated from compony.com. Wait a second here. Compony and company? Oh, look at that. There's where our issue lies. Now we can look at this. So we can say, okay, where's the received from? We can see here from, or from company.com, right, to company.com. And then we can see the receive field indicates the email originated from compony.com, received from mail.compony.com. So that would definitely be an issue. So B, right there, right? C, the return path and reply to fields are not from the company domain. So let's look at the return path. There we go, support@compony.com. And reply to compony.com. That would be an issue. That would be an indicator of compromise. That would be a phishing email. So B and C so far, real tricky. All right, D, the email was sent using trusted mailing services as indicated by the Xmailer header. So we need to find the Xmailer. Here we go, Xmailer. Phishing mailer, version 1.0. This one's tricky, right? So I would say phishing mailer version 1.0, that would definitely be one. I would indicate that as a problem, right? I would indicate that as an issue. All right. The message ID matches the domain in the from field, proving authenticity. So we see the message ID. Where's the message ID? There we go. At compony.com. Matches the from field. And we look at the from field. No, it does not. It does not match it. It does not match. So E would not be a case. And so B, C, and D would be our problem child. Our problem issues, right? Our problem positions in there, right? And so there we have it. Okay, that would be our correct answer. I hope you found this helpful. As always, my name is Dr. K. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.